So this next video was suggested to me by a therapist. She said, why don't I do a video that is the best things I learnt in therapy. I think there still is a bit of stigma surrounding therapy, counselling, and people don't want to admit that they need it. I am definitely guilty of that. I wish I'd gone to therapy sooner, because had I have gone sooner, I don't know if I would have gone through some of the really dark, difficult times that I did. I don't think you should always necessarily feel like to go to therapy you have to be really sad or in a dark place. I think it's just really healthy to go anyway. I'm going to tell you 6 of the best things I've learned that I now implement into my daily life. Well, it's 5 things really, and then it's one sort of like tip. So yeah, if you're interested in going to get some therapy or counselling and scared about it, this might give you a bit more insight, or if you're not, I think it's just generally good advice. 1. People generally, unless they're like a psychopath, don't set out to hurt you. That doesn't mean that you don't feel hurt and that your feelings of hurt aren't valid, but I don't think people wake up in the morning and go, do you know what? I'm going to hurt Tori today. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to really hurt her feelings. That's not really a thing. I think all of us are just trying to muddle through and do what's best for us. We're all on our own journeys, and it's great with friendships or relationships when those journeys align and you plod along together and everything's great. But sometimes there's going to be a fork in the road and you're going to split, and something that person has to do for them might hurt you. That doesn't mean they planned to hurt you. It's just something that happened. You got caught in the crossfire of their life. When you realise that and you give people a break and you go, okay, I'm hurt and my feelings are valid, but I know that they didn't set out to hurt me, life becomes a lot easier. I'm not excusing bad behaviour or saying that you should just forgive everyone immediately, but it's made me a lot more tolerant of people, and a lot more tolerant of myself actually, and my own mistakes. Like, I've definitely made mistakes, I've done things I wish I hadn't, but I know that at the time I had my reasons, and generally it was because I didn't love myself enough, or I was trying to protect myself, or but it was never that I wanted to hurt that person, ever. And I think that's true of most people. 2, we tend to attach things to other things based on our own past experience, and these 2 things aren't always the same. To use a personal example, my dad hasn't been present in my life. When he has, it's been very difficult. Therefore, I have a lot of issues with rejection. Sometimes if I'm like not invited to something with 2 good friends of mine, like they leave me out, I will automatically think the worst and be like, they're going to reject me, they're going to leave me, they don't like me, it's because I'm fat and I'm shit and I'm not good enough. That's where my mind goes. But Joe Bloggs, who's doing it, just didn't even think, or hasn't come from that background, has 2 parents who really love them and support them, so they don't know what a big deal something is to me. I can feel really hurt and take it really personally because I'm basing it on what I do, but it's not always the case, because they have their own thing and they have their own experiences and their own reasons for being how they are, and I'm attaching my stuff to it. And sometimes the other party is really innocent, they just don't know where you're coming from. So yeah, that's something I'm really mindful of now, is knowing the difference. And sometimes people are just being out of order but other times I'm attaching things from my past and I'm worrying about things that probably haven't even crossed that person's mind. Knowing what your past traumas are and being able to communicate them, and to be able to know when something's maybe you and not the other person, is really, really useful. Is that annoying? I think I'm going to shut my window. Cheers, guys. I'm filming a friggin' YouTube video, babes. 3! This is one of the things I find most interesting about the therapy process. So if you're like thinking about having it, or are scared or whatever, or you're like, what's it even going to do? For me, and my therapist said this to me, people, particularly emotionally intelligent people, tend to full stop things that they think they've worked out. So for me, I'll go, I have rejection issues because of my dad, full stop, and then just move on with my life, because I'm like, cool, work that out, know what that is. Therapy will keep going. So when I'm like, yeah, cause I don't, I worry about like being rejected, I worry about like a man never staying or like never loving me enough because my dad didn't. And then I think that's enough, and then she'll go, okay, why is that scary to you, a man not loving you? Because love's nice, so I just want to be that. But it will keep going, and things come out that you don't even know that you feel, and then you can explore that more, and it just gives you more and more tools to like understand yourself and understand where things come from. And if you understand that, then you can start to heal it. I now know when I'm full stopping something, so I'll dig a little bit deeper, and for me it was the most beneficial part of therapy. Full. That was weird. This makes me laugh because so my therapist calls it my sparkly cloak. So I'll be talking, and especially if I'm sad or whatever, so my voice is quite low naturally, and I'll just be like, yeah, I just feel a bit like, and then if it's something I'm excited about, or if I want her to think I'm fine, she's like, you put your sparkly cloak on, and I'm like, yeah, so like went there, and then we did that, and then we like, oh my god, and it's that version, and that is real, like that is me. I don't feel like I'm being fake, but she's seen the difference, and she was like, you must be exhausted, and I was like, yeah, I am, because she was like, because you're not okay and you've not been for a while, and she was like, because of really valid things that have happened to you. That's nice as well, it validates some of the stuff going on in your head, because I always put everything down and say it's not that serious, but she was like, it's quite shit, some of the stuff you've been through. And I realised that was so much of it, that was so much of my sadness, was that I was exhausted, and I was just desperately trying to hold everything together and be the person that I'd always been for everybody else, and I just couldn't do it. I had to give some of it to me. So she said to me, what would happen if, you know, over the next couple of days, don't put on the sparkly cloak, turn up as the version of you that you are that day. And I tried it, and I went to this writing group that I do, and I remember turning up, and one of my mates was like, how are you? And I was like, oh! I started it, I felt the cloak go on, and I reminded myself, and I was like, oh, you know, just plodding on, muddling through is what it is. And he was like, yeah, I feel ya. And that was it. And it was really easy. Whereas when I do the like, oh, you know, like keep them busy, like, don't know, kind of thing, they're like, all right, and they'll keep asking questions because you seem so up. They almost like get lulled into this thing with you, and it keeps going, and then it's really bizarre. But when I just turn up, you know, I'm not saying turn up and be really morbid and like everything's rubbish. Nobody needs a drain. So now I just kind of turn up as I am. And generally, if I've had a bit of a crap day, just being around other people that I love and not feeling like I'm putting on a front, it naturally lifts me anyway. So I leave feeling a lot happier than I arrive. I've just thought of an extra one. So this is like 4.5. Another thing my therapist said, she's so great. She said it's really difficult as humans because we're always changing, we're always evolving, and life changes, and we can't be the person that we were all of the time, and priorities change and whatever. But like in a shop, if they change their stock, you either go in and you like it or you don't, and that's your choice. You can buy it or you can leave and go somewhere else. But as humans, we can't do that. And she was like, you know, you have a market still, like these are my goods, this is what I sell, I can be there for you all the time, I love a night out, blah blah blah. And she said, but then your market still might have changed, and you don't love the nights out, and you can't be there as much because you've got a partner or children or whatever. And then, you know, ideally your friends could come and be like, okay, well I'll still keep you, or I'll keep that bit of you, or nah, done, want to move on. And it's quite a difficult thing. And I remember having a really good chat with my best friend, being like, you know, I'm struggling at the moment, I'm exhausted, and I'm in a serious relationship, and in a way that I hadn't been. And I was able to go, if you ever feel like I'm not there for you as much as I was, it's not that I love you less, it's just that things are a little bit different now, and I'm a little bit spent, and I need to rebuild, and I can't give as much as I want to, and as much as I always have, but it's no reflection on you. You'll always be a priority for me. I just can't show it in the way that I used to be able to show it. And then that changes again, and like now I can. You know, your life keeps changing. But it made me realise it was okay to have those conversations, and actually better to let your friends know ahead of time, like what you're going through and why you might be a bit different, rather than waiting for them to feel something different from you and then attach things that aren't really there because of their own situation. That was 4.5. You can have that one for nothing. Vibe on it. This one's quite simple and you probably know it, but projection. We're so scared to say the thing that we're feeling that we act up or we lash out. Generally, once we've said whatever it is, we feel a lot better, and it was never as bad as we thought. For me, it was something I knew, but it was something that I accepted via therapy, that there's so much power in vulnerability. I think one of my hardest sessions was stem back to all my issues with rejection and what I attached and stuff. I got really angry and pissed off, and I was being really sassy because something that was happening in my relationship was making me feel rejected. And actually, it was. I think now he knew what he was doing, but I didn't realise that at the time. Anyway, she turned a chair round and she made me just speak to him, just say what I was actually feeling as my partner. And I was so aggy about it at first. I was like, it's the only time she made me do it, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I was so pissed off. I was like, that's quite attitudey. And then eventually I did it, and I just broke, and I was like, I just want you to love me, and I just want you to want to be there for me. And it was the simplest thing, and that's all it was, but I put all this sass on it. And I was like, well, no, if that's how you want to be, then that's how you can be. I don't fucking care. I don't need anyone. Why would I, fine, go then, go. But don't expect to come back, because I'm not just going to sit around and work. Honestly, I turned it into all that. And actually, I just wanted him to love me, and I just wanted him to want to be there for me at a time where I really needed him. And that was it. Sorry, it still makes me sad. But it made me realise that it wasn't worth coating it with all the other crap, and it's really brave to say that to someone, especially when you have rejection issues. Stand there or sit there with your heart in your hand and just be like, I want you to love me and I want you to care. That's like the scariest thing ever. But if somebody comes back to that as an arsehole, then you're with the wrong person and you need to leave. And you know, generally you'd hope they'd understand that, and then even if that you can't see eye to eye on the thing you're arguing about, at least you can move forward and build. This is number 6, and it's kind of a tip more than something I've learnt. It's that you will get out of therapy what you put in. So therapy isn't going to work if you don't. And I think too often people sort of rock up and just think it's going to be fixed, or think they can trick the therapist or whatever. And you've got to be 100% honest, even if it's not comfortable. You've got to trust that they're not there to judge you. You've just got to leave that at the door. You've got to keep reading. You've got to keep applying it to your life. You've got to keep working to better yourself. You've got to keep exploring yourself, questioning yourself, sitting in it. And it is really difficult. It's hard work, but it's so worth it, because you come out the other side as an infinitely better person with far better communication skills, and more than that, you can be a better friend and lover and parent, partner, all of it. And hopefully, if more of us go and deal with our own shit and our past traumas, we can start to unlearn these behaviours and therefore not pass it down and inadvertently damage our children. So those are the things that I think were the most beneficial things that I learned in therapy, and I think have really helped me to be a better person and a more well-rounded person. Please subscribe, please watch me other videos, and please share them if they helped you, or if you think they might help other people, because that is literally what I'm doing this for, is to try and save anybody I can a bit of the pain and heartache that it took me to learn a lot of these things that I've now learned. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Let me know what would be helpful, and see you next time. Bye!